You're watching the Top 6 Show, the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below. To the Top 6 Show on this Thursday evening. Lots to talk about as the return of the Premier League is here. And I know everyone gets bored in the international break. We can't wait to sink our teeth back into proper football again. And there's some big games to preview this forthcoming weekend with the Merseyside derby, Arsenal going to Stamford Bridge, the likes of Man United and City really in must-win games that they on paper should be winning, but of course cannot afford any more banana skins at this point. There's a little bit of transfers to touch on, and we'll be discussing the Tonali situation as well tonight. On the show with us, we've got Oh My Dizzy here repping Man United. Ram is here to talk about his beloved Liverpool. We've got Rory and Egal back in Arsenal, and sandwiched between the two of them, making his debut on the show tonight is Chelsea fan Alex. Welcome all to the show. We've got D coming soon as well, who is a Palace fan. He'll be with us a little bit later in the show. But welcome one and all, and welcome Alex, making your debut on the Terrace tonight.
Thank you very much. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
It's good to have football back, Terry.
Absolutely. I saw you putting out content of swinging glass bottles.
Oh, he does it every
international break.
You know what they should do?
Do that.
You know what they should do? They should allocate maybe like a month to internationals for qualifiers, whatever the case may be, like an international tournament in the middle of the season. So we don't have this here goes 3 weeks of football. Now some irrelevant. We're going to Kazakhstan for a week. Let's just do away with it, man. We're
going to be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't mind the World Cup. I know it wouldn't always be as big as the World Cup. I didn't mind the World Cup in the middle of the season. It's the World Cup and it's exciting. So yeah, you're right. If they did like a 4 or 5 week period where all the qualifications games were played, it was done and dusted in that time, it would probably make it a little bit more exciting. You could make it like a mini little tournament. No, you're right. They've got to do something because it just doesn't. The world isn't captivated by international football anymore. Well, certainly not in the UK. I don't know how people feel about it in their own nation. And I'm sure there's people watching from all around the world that may feel differently. So let us know in the live comments section below. As I've already said, make sure like buttons are being smashed as well. And I wanted to start with you, Dizzy, to be fair. United, of course, just before the international break kicked in, 2 last-minute goals. The first time in our club's history to score 2 goals in time added on. To win a game in the Premier League, that is. Picked up the 3 points that are really important. But how key is it that Man United get the job done late on Saturday night against Sheffield United, considering that the Manchester derby is the next Premier League game? Is it it's a game that we should win, but is it also a game where there's a bit of pressure because it's an absolute must-win?
I'm not going to lie, we're on a run of must-win games for at least, I think minus the City game, we're on a run of must-win games damn near every week at this point. But this is a problem with setting yourself so far back in the season, dropping so many points so early on, that if you really want to be in conversations for anything meaningful, you have to be going damn near flawless or picking up wins on a very consistent basis. Obviously, it's Sheffield, so you would expect to pick those wins up, but then again, it's United, and with United, bro, you just never know what you're gonna get. 1 week we're great, one game we're amazing, the next game we play like we just met each other. So yeah, but I would say it's a must win. I would just say it's a must win for sure.
Saturday, 8 o'clock, Terry. Everyone's eyes are going to be on Manchester United after that Arsenal-Chelsea game, and they're just going to be waiting for you guys to drop points.
Egal, Sheffield United haven't won a game. The script is already there. The script is ready.
This is the same team that Newcastle just pumped 8-0.
Exactly.
They haven't been on a good run of form. I don't think they've won a game. Damn. I think it's.
Well, I mean, hey, look, hold on. Let's slow down. I mean, yes, we're trash, but come on, let's not act like we're just gonna be handing out wins to these, because the same thing was said of Burnley and we beat them. So I would expect.
Yeah, but how convincing was that?
Just beat them.
Like you beat Burnley, it wasn't.
The 3 points is the 3. I always say at the end of the day, all that matters is the 3 points. When we were on a losing streak, my thing was it doesn't matter how you play if you don't win in the end. So I would expect us to win whatever the case may be. and I'd expect us to pick up some sort of confidence. I think we're going to be on a bit of a decent run up until about Christmas. I'm going to say it now.
I hope so. Egal, you made that point. Do you think Man United will slip up this weekend?
I think it's just this is an opportunity for if I'm not mistaken, Sheffield United have an opportunity now to get some confidence going into this game because they see a team that's vulnerable. They see a team that is a top team, and usually they wouldn't match up well against you guys. But because you guys are so vulnerable, after coming off a break where your team has had a poor start to the season, this is probably the best time Sheffield United could play you. And this is what a lot of teams in the league will look at. So this is why I'm saying Sheffield United, their confidence going to this game is going to be based off the fact that you guys are such a mess. And they haven't been that good themselves. But I think they'd rather face you than any other team out of the top 6 right now. So that's why I'm giving them so much confidence. I'm not saying they're going to guarantee smash you guys, but seeing how you guys performed against Nottingham Forest, how you performed against the team that you played the last game where you took a last-minute winner, why not? Why can't Sheffield United get something from this game? Anyone can beat anyone in the Premier League, and they're at home. So
confident is confident.
Stars 8:00 Saturday night after the Arsenal Chelsea game. Everyone tune in. Man United is going to lose.
Egal, confident.
Put money on it.
Whoa!
I don't gamble. I don't gamble.
Oh, okay.
But Egal, confident is just too big a word in my opinion. Like, cool, Sheffield United. They look at Man United's form and it's like, oh, they're crap. They're this or they're that. They ain't playing good football. But this is Man United. They got good play. They got good plays in their team.
1 second.
I think we're ignoring the biggest point, though.
When you're on a good run, when you're on a poor run, weird things happen. We've seen it with Arsenal. When you're on a poor run, weird things happen. It happened with Chelsea just a couple of weeks ago. They were at home and they lost to lesser teams.
This is the first time I think in quite a long time where every single championship team that's come up hasn't been good. Like, I guarantee every single club, one of our clubs should be taking maximum 18 points. So they should be taking 18 points from them because their quality of the teams aren't just they're not like Nottingham Forest last time.
I hear your point, Egal, that Man United are on a bad run, and I think you're right to say Sheffield United out of the top 6 would probably pick us as the team they'd most like to play out of that top 6. But we're not the team in the Premier League they'd pick the most out of the considering the other 19 teams. And you speak about our poor run of form. Sheffield United this season have played 9 games in all competitions, lost 8 and drawn 1 of them. So you're predicting a Sheffield United win based on our form, but what about Sheffield United form of 8 defeats from 9 games?
That's even worse for you, Terry.
What? Do you even remember that game that they drew? It was literally Fotheringham saving their asses.
No, but this is what I mean. This is why I'm saying it's even more written in the stars. Because whenever I hear those kind of records, Terry, I get worried for my team. And you're saying it in a way where you're giving them props. I think that's more worrying. I think the fact that they've been this poor up until this point, this could give them the confidence to actually try to stay up this season, beating another.
So you're projecting.
United team.
Are you projecting or actually predicting?
I'm predicting based off what I've seen and how I've seen it happen to my team before. I've seen it happen to Liverpool a couple years ago when they're on that poor run where they lost a bunch of home games. I've seen it to Chelsea. I'm just saying I've seen this story before, and I'm predicting it based on what I've seen before. And this is
United won last time. United won their last game.
I get that.
Circumstances.
I get that.
Isn't that the best?
So hand on heart, you think Sheffield's gonna win? Hand on heart.
Bro, I think Sheffield United is going to give it an upset. Even if they draw, it's an upset. But I think they can win.
I think it's interesting what they're going to do, though, because Ten Hag now has big decisions to make, whether McTomainy starts this game or not. And sometimes last-minute winners cause problems. And I think the way United won the last game has caused more problems than it would have. Like, you know what?
And it's going to be available.
I like this.
Hang on, just one at a time. Alex, again, Man United win a game in the last minute, and it's the first time I've ever heard winning a game described as problematic. I get where you're coming from. Just to give team news, Casemiro is out of the game. He hasn't come back from Brazil. He's got a very minor injury. So the club have said, just don't fly with it, stay there and come back soon. So he'll be back in the next 5 to 10 days. So Amrabat, Reguilon is in full training again, so it looks like Amrabat will play in that 6th role as an example. I actually think Scott McTominay coming in wouldn't be a bad idea, considering the sort of physicality of a Sheffield United team as an example. it's all about the right-hand side for me. I think Anthony will end up starting this game. There's no doubt. My worry is playing Mason Mount in a slightly deeper role. But then having said that, you don't need 2 deep line midfielders against Sheffield United. We can push Mason Mount much higher up the pitch because I don't see them being overly attacking in this game personally, having watched 3 or 4 of their matches already. So, yeah, look, there are some big decisions. The Scott McTominay one isn't a huge one for me. It was going to be about Casemiro and Rashford, our 2 players that have been the most out of form. And I suppose Casemiro is out, so it becomes a non-talking point. But Rory, should Marcus Rashford, who had a decent game against Italy the other night, scored his goal, should he be dropped after the poor United performances? Or do you think starting against a team like Sheffield United is a great opportunity for him to maybe score some goals and really get his confidence back?
Yeah, I think you've got to start him, right? I think he's such a confidence player. That goal against Italy, you'd hope should give him a bit of confidence. You then get Sheffield United, where again, you should score or have plenty of opportunities. So I feel like now is at least an opportunity to kickstart Rashford's season, which has been poor. I don't really see how dropping him helps at all if you're looking at like the rest of the season, unless you think Garnacho is going to come in and kick on and be your starting left winger all season, which I don't think he's ready for. I think it would be a mistake to drop Rashford.
Really quickly, if I may, the revisionism on Scott McTominay to me this past 2 weeks has been nothing short of hilarious to me.
Give him some credit, man. Give him some
No. Because when he was starting, every Rivals fan said, how is this guy getting so many games at United so consistently? He is trash. He hides behind players. He doesn't know how to forward pass. And this was the general consensus. Everybody had it. This was the understanding. He scores 2 late winners. Now it's disrespectful that he has been on the bench for so long. He should have been starting games.
You want to know what it is? You want to know what it is? When you have when you have an out-of-body experience and you turn into Kaka for 2 minutes, these things happen.
Did he turn into Kaka really though?
What I'm saying is Egal has done this himself. So Egal, again, like the Man United prediction, speaking for experience, because I was with Egal in person in the studio, the old studio in London. New one coming soon, by the way, people. It's going to look amazing. And Eddie Nketiah scored 2 goals away, ironically, at Chelsea. And Egal did something, and I saw through it. I didn't call him out, but me and Colleen had a little giggle when he went to the toilet. Not in a horrible way, friendly way. Egal's my boy. Where he was like, do you guys, there's a lot of people online saying that maybe these goals will kick Eddie Nketiah onto another level for us. And what I read or what I heard from that situation was, I think this might kick him onto another level, but I don't want to make it my opinion. So I'm saying I'm seeing it on Twitter. We all kind of do that a little bit at times. And you are right. The revisionism around McTominay is crazy. Yeah. What I will say in defense of him is that I do think he's far more effective in a more forward role.
Absolutely.
Yes, Terry.
And what's even crazy about it with Scotland is Scotland were playing him at centre-back a couple of years ago. Like people like Jose did that. Scotland did it. We've tried playing him as a DM. He's never been that. By the way, he's never going to be KDB in an attacking midfield role or an Odegaard or anybody like that. But where I think he could be impactful for us is an option from the bench and exactly the way he was used at the weekend. You bring him on with 20 minutes to go if you need a goal, or even if you're winning and you want someone to hold the ball up a little bit, you know, a bit of physicality in there. And he's got a decent strike on him. And I think he's the kind of person that could chip in with 5 to 10 goals a campaign across all competitions. But you are right, Dizzy. The revisionism. I actually saw someone on TalkSport say, I don't know when he's going to get his Man United chance. Like, I literally heard that said.
Hasn't he played like 100 games?
Yes.
Well, I want to.
Yeah, he's played a lot of games.
I'm going to hazard a guess here, and I'm going to say he's played at least 150. It could be even more for Man United.
You're describing it basically as Fellaini.
You remember, he's 26 years old, nearly 27. How many games he played for us? See, it was more than I thought. 215 games for Man United. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? It's he's not had a chance, and he's nearly 27. It's like when people talk about Lingard and Loftus-Cheek like they're still kids. Like he is. He is what he is. He's never going to be any better than this. But I think maybe now at 26, they've found a role that works where you throw him on in an attacking midfield role, just off the striker, if you need a goal. And he might come up trumps at the end of the day. Like
2011, 2012 Fellaini right there. Just saying. Exactly. There's a reason why David Moyes wanted him.
Essentially. It happened to us last year when Reece Nelson scored a goal. People were saying, should he start over Saka as jokes? Like, we know he's not going to start over Saka, but people are going to say these things.
Yeah, strange. Yeah, it's a very strange one. In terms of the game, how do you think it's going to go, Dizzy? Score predictions on Man United, Sheffield United, or Sheffield United, Man United?
I'm going to say I think we're going to smoke them, to be honest. I think it's going to be, I don't know, it's not really a determined on how the rest of the weeks are going to go, but I think we smoke Sheffield. I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1. How about yourself, Ram?
I don't see Sheffield United scoring, in my opinion. I think they're just going to try and defend as much as possible. I think it might be 3-0.
Like that, Rory?
1-1. Set piece goal from Sheffield. 90th minute equaliser from United.
I feel ill even thinking about it. Alex, what you saying, mate?
We're saying 4-0. Mason Mount breaks his duck. This is his level of competition.
I hope so. Egal, what you going with, brother?
Since I already said it, I'm going to keep it consistent. Sheffield United get their first win of the season. Let's go. It's going to be a good one.
What's the score though?
I'm going to go 2-1. Scrappy 2-1.
So they've scored 7 goals all season, but they're going to score 2 this weekend.
Bro, have you seen your defense?
Do you know what? Their best games have been against big teams, though. Like, they were drawing into, the 89th minute against City, and they were winning
that City one's a bit of a fugazi. City should have scored 7 goals in that game.
What about Tottenham?
Yeah, but Spurs, they were winning until the 97th minute or something. So, big games, they step up.
It's an interesting one. Like, they've held on. That's my biggest worry is if they can hold on. Listen, they're in the Premier League, they have the lowest amount, one of the lowest amounts of possession, around 38%. They only average 8 shots per game away from home, by the way. At home, it's a little bit higher at 9 as an example, but the possession is even lower at 35%. They've only scored 3 goals at home all year. Yeah, I'm going with a Sheffield United win 2-1. I think Man United will win. I think we will win. I would love us to, as you say, Dizzy, smoke them. I'm not convinced we will, but Man United actually need that. Man United need a game where they actually score a few goals early, see it out to start building that confidence, because that's a big issue. But we will see what has happened. Viewers, please hit like buttons. Please subscribe to the Football Terrace. Now, before we continue with the games, gents, obviously there's a big scenario that kicked off this week surrounding Newcastle United. And I'm actually just trying to look at it. Okay, so they're playing Palace this weekend, and a player that is going to be available for them is Tonali. And as we know, the wording in the papers hasn't been arrested, but he's been questioned by police and he's been investigated for illegal gambling. He's admitted to betting on games similarly to that of what Ivan Toney did in England, but he's betting on games whilst at AC Milan on AC Milan. He's admitted to that. He's facing a 1 to 3 year ban from football. Is it right, in your opinions, being under the criminal investigation, plus being admitting to betting on games that he's involved in? Do you think it's right that Newcastle were allowed to play him at this time, or do you think he should be suspended until the investigation is complete? What's our thoughts and feelings on that, gents?
I think it's fair. Ivan Toney was under investigation most of last season, right? And he played until the actual ban was given. So, because ultimately, if he doesn't play and then it turns out, I don't think it will, but if he doesn't play and then it turns out that he wasn't going to get a suspension, then you've just had him not playing for no reason. So,
yeah, I agree. I think the thing that Rory said is Ivan Toney had a suspension last season, but he wasn't suspended last season, even though he's being investigated. I think let everything be investigated, and once judgment's been passed, then you deal with what he's going to do. But yeah, man, it's crazy. I'll say this. I said this in the group. Someone said it in the group chat. Milan completely shafted Newcastle, man. They definitely
they 100% knew what happened. There's no way you get rid of an asset the way they got rid of him in such quick fashion, because he was never for sale. And all of a sudden now,
their best player, a Milan boy, and he goes for relatively easily. It smelt something.
At the time, it made sense because Maldini just left. Their club was kind of a mess.
No, it didn't. That was all a smoke screen, because Maignan never left, because there was rumors that he was going to leave because of Maldini.
Leao never left.
Leao never left.
Just got a new contract before Maldini left. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the thing is, Egal, I think he was the one player not touted and linked anywhere. The others, we kept seeing links. Tonali just happened out of the blue.
He's like a Barella as well.
I have an unpopular opinion.
You know what I'll say?
Does this move the needle for Newcastle though? Because I don't think it does. Even without Tonali, I still think they're going to be okay. They're going to be decent. They have guys like Longstaff, Joe Willock who can come in and do well. And I just don't think, maybe they're not the big name like Tonali, but
It's quality as well.
No, but
it's move the needle for them.
It's quality. No, but it's quality of depth. They're playing across all the competitions Europe, and now you've got Longstaff having to start every single game. You've got Willock. Like if one of them gets injured, then it's about who's next in line. Instead of them being a replacement for Tonali, it's who's next up to replace Longstaff or Willock. I think that's the big issue.
You know what I will say on the Tonali situation specifically. You know what I don't like. Now, here's the thing. I will caveat this by saying, mental health is important.
Bro, do you know what? Do us a favor. We'll come back to that bit in a minute. I just want to stay on this thing here around what Egal said for a moment, Dizzy. Sorry, bro. Just because I don't want to muddy the conversation too much. And I think that's a fair point. I know what you're going to say, and I think it's a fair point because I've done a video on it myself. But when you say Tonali doesn't move the needle, for me, I think he does. I know Newcastle didn't have a great start to this season, but we've seen them go away to Milan and grab a draw. We've seen them with Tonali in that team batter PSG in the Champions League. And I'm not saying if you take Tonali out, there'll be this huge drop off and Newcastle fall away, because they were a very good team in the Prem last year. But he was one of those signings this summer that did kind of come out the blue. I agree. It was almost Tonali. Why they let him go? It didn't make much sense at the time. Maybe now, as you say, Ram, maybe AC Milan got wind of this and thought, we've got to get rid of him now so the ban doesn't impact us. But I think it will hurt Newcastle if they lose him. And it could take, by the way, the whole season for a review to go through. But at some point, they're going to lose a 70, 80 million pound asset from their team. And I think, listen, part of me feels a bit sorry for Newcastle. I see their fans outright defending him and he's unwell and all of this. And I know we'll move on to that in a minute. And I understand that. But I do feel sorry for Newcastle from a point of view. It's a bit like, and that's a different scenario because it isn't to do with domestic abuse. But if Man United knew about Mason Greenwood and sold him, and then it all came out on the internet, United would be absolutely ridiculed for this. And I think Newcastle now, they have to look at who did this deal, because you have to look at due diligence always. I talk about it so much with Man United stuff. Due diligence. Why did they suddenly want to sell him? Why would they accept? And if somebody at Newcastle's head might have to roll for this, because they've not obviously done. And if it's something really emotive and personal and private, maybe it wouldn't come out. But the fact that there's an investigation that involves 40 odd players, surely this didn't start before he was sold in the summer. It's too big of an investigation for it suddenly just to appear out of nowhere. It isn't two people very privately who have committed an offense a handful of people know about. There's at least 40 players involved, which means anywhere between one agent to a whole team of representatives means what? 120 to 300 people know. That amount of people in football is huge. It's a very small industry, very compact.
This is why I disagree with you, Terry. Just quickly, Egal, this is why I disagree with your actual opinion, Terry, because some fans, when they saw the transfer, were saying something doesn't smell right. And some Newcastle fans didn't want to hear it. They were saying, no, he wants to join us. We talked him into it, and he doesn't look like he's upset. And I was like, something doesn't seem right, because Tonali loves AC Milan. Milan is one of their best midfielders and looking to build a team with him as the future. And they're just letting him go like that. It just doesn't seem right.
I hear you. Sorry, Didi, but I've been watching the David Beckham Netflix thing, and he spoke in episode, I want to say it was 3, he speaks about leaving Man United and how he was trying to speak to Fergie for days, phoning Fergie. He didn't want to leave. He was gutted to go, but it wasn't because of an underlying problem. There are players in football who have been sold against their will and they look unhappy about it. I understand Newcastle fans defending it because nobody wants to believe that they're second best. City fans, that some of those early interviews, go look at some of the stars they bought in the first few years of the money. They didn't know Man City existed. I think Yaya Toure said something along the lines of, I'm basically using this club as a stepping stone before going on to another big club. City fans hated that because you don't like to think that players don't 100% want to be with you. But that's actually the reality of football. Look, Gabriel Jesus is loving it at Arsenal. But I bet if you asked him in his heart of hearts and said, if you were offered Arsenal or guarantee of starting number 9 at Man City, he probably would have stayed at Man City. Probably, and that's not a dig at
probably.
Arsenal. It's the reality of these situations, and I think that I get where you're coming from. But sorry, Gal, you were going to say something, bruv.
I was just merely saying, Tonali, at this moment in time, strength and depth. I hear you, Rory, but I feel like they're gonna manage. It's so early in the time that they've just brought him in. He's been kind of being rotated in and out of games. Every time I've seemed to have watched Newcastle, I've seen him get subbed off after 60 minutes or subbing on for the last 20 minutes. So he's not entrenched himself as a key part of that midfield yet. So it's not going to be as big of a loss as if he was there for a couple of years. Like if they lost Bruno Guimaraes right now, it would be a much bigger loss.
I don't
he's
think
been
they'll
there
manage.
for a year. Even like the likes of Joe Linton, because he's been there for at least a year and he's been a key part to the team. That's all I'm saying.
Egal,
I also think with the Tonali thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
I also think with the Tonali thing, the price tag is influencing a lot of people's opinions of him. If he joined for 20 million, I don't think there would have been the eyes on him and the exaggeration from Newcastle fans of his performances. He'll do the most basic thing. There's a whole hoopla. Oh, look how good Tonali is. Because it's the new shiny toy. We all do it with our new signings.
I think the money is more the thing that they've lost. Like, yeah, okay, Egal, losing him as a player might not be too impactful at the moment, but the actual signing itself made such an impact on their transfer policy. Like, they're already apparently going into January, because they're still tied by FFP, because they've not generated that much money yet. They're still tied, and it's like, you've spent that 60 million on now a player that's potentially not going to be available for you. It's like, that could have been spent elsewhere on a different player, or two different players that could have had a much longer.
I mean, it's all dependent on exactly when he is banned, if that is the decision that's to be made. If it's at the end of next season, obviously they can, if it's the end of this season, they can sign players in his position to sort of hold them over until the ban's done. So all of this is a moot point. But if he's banned, let's say from January, I'm sure they'll miss him by April.
I want to know, can they do an investigation on AC and find out if they knew? Or something.
There must be, because if you buy a house that's got damage, right?
Do transfer embargoes and do like email checking, because there must be email out there being like, we got
so again, but they yes and no. The FIFA and UEFA and the FA can't, because it's a business matter. Like, for instance, there's no regulator. Okay, so when it comes to banking, I know this industry, the FCA, the regulators can come in and go through everything. But if there's no regulation, there's no body that can come in unless there's a criminal activity. So you'd have to have proof that AC Milan broke the law. Then the police essentially would be able to look at those emails. It's like with Man City's investigation, because they've not broken any criminal laws. The UEFA and the Premier League are asking for access to their emails, but they're just saying, no, why would we give them to you? We don't need to, because it's a civil matter. So yeah, there's no real, again, unless there's proof that AC Milan have broken the law, there's little that they can do around this. So if there's proof, then yes, because again, I suppose, is it illegal to sell somebody under false pretenses? There could be a legal loophole in there, but I'm not a solicitor, so it's very hard to know. Plus, this is Italy, bruv. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to mess too much with what's going on over there. That's all I'm saying. We've all seen the films. I'm only joking. That's normally in the south anyway. But Dizzy, you were going to say something earlier about this part of the situation that annoys you.
Yeah, here's what I don't like. Now, again, I'm going to preface this. Mental health warriors, don't come at me. Mental health is important. Protect people's mental health, blah, 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 right? But what I don't like is he got caught gambling. He has a history of gambling. Now he's mentally ill. He's got an addiction. What I would argue is, if there's 40, 50 people involved, this is just daily practice. They just didn't think they'll get caught. And when they got caught, now obviously the easy plea. Okay, let me put it to you like this. Now, I don't condone drug use, and I would never use drugs in my life. Stay away from drugs, kids. If in the event I was so happened to be carrying drugs and I got so happened to get caught with them on me, what is the first thing I would say? I'm not selling them, I'm using them. I have a problem. Help me. Tell me I'm wrong. That's all I'm saying on that.
Yeah, I spoke about this the other day. I've got no problem with the media, no problem with Newcastle, no problem with fans treating him as a victim in terms of the gambling addiction. Doesn't mean any crimes that he's committed or rules he's broke shouldn't be punished, because then, again, it's the can of worms it opens. Somebody starts taking a certain type of PED and said, well, I'm not cheating, I'm just a drug addict. Does that enable, like, what other types of cheating or breaches of rules would that open up? So you have to have rules still. And I appreciate that people are addicts and I sympathize with them. My biggest issue has been the way Tonali is being, and I want to preface this by saying how Tonali is being treated is right. And I don't want him to not be treated this nicely. I'm just disgusted at how poorly Ivan Toney was treated in return. And I speak about this a lot. I don't like how the media treated Raheem Sterling, but the counterbalance to this isn't treating Harry Kane horribly. The counterbalance is to try and get everybody treated nicely. Like, and that's my only issue with this. You know, I did 10 minutes of research. I didn't even have to do a lot. You know, like Ivan Toney restaurant owners wouldn't let him in after he got caught. Do you know his car insurance company wouldn't renew his car insurance once he got caught? By the way, he broke no laws. He just gambled. He broke nothing criminally wrong and was refused car insurance, refused entry into restaurants. Even this summer, when Arsenal were linked with him, headlines, Arsenal linked with £80 million disgraced footballer. I'm not seeing that same energy for other. And by the way, there's a guy at Nottingham Forest who did more betting breaches, more against his own team, and more against his own team to lose. And he not only didn't get banned at all, he only got a 5-month ban. It was suspended. So the whole process, that's the bit of this that's wound me up. And I want to preface it again by saying I'm not angry at Tonali. I don't want Tonali to go through any problems. I just think it demonstrates and highlights a huge bias that still exists in this country, especially with our media. It's an absolute disgrace.
Terry, is it worth just waiting on to see what actually happens in terms of the ban he gets if he's proven guilty? Because then, I know by the media you do have a point, but when it comes to the FA, I think they use Toney as an example, and it was clear about that. And now let's see if Tonali is guilty, if they give the same level of ban or even further. Because yes, the media, I hear where you're coming from with, especially in the private life, like, as you said, all Toney did was gamble. And yes, it was wrong in the laws of football in terms of his profession, but it's not like he broke the law. He was just, gambling, and he had a gambling.
Toney did lie, though, and he confessed to that himself. And I don't know how much of that escalated his punishment.
They also messed up. They basically punished him twice by releasing the information before the World Cup, subsequently losing his World Cup opportunity before this whole situation was even done. So that in itself is another punishment they should have never done.
The thing is, though, with him lying, is one of the biggest traits and actions that addicts have is lying. So again, it's one of those things where and I've got no issues with him being punished, but if he lied first time, and that's why would he get an 8-month ban versus a 5-month ban for less offenses? And why would he not be suspended when the other person's was? I don't think lying about an addiction, which I haven't watched the show that he did with Steve, is it Bartlett? And I should watch it really. Yeah. But I can't imagine it's something Ivan Toney's proud of. He's probably like nobody that I've ever spoken to that's had an addiction is proud of it. So it's not him lying. It's fairly normal. Again, it's not like he's lying about a heinous criminal offense where lives have been irreversibly damaged. It's people have got to wise up. It's a bit like I see a lot of weird moral outrage sometimes. Like someone will break the law, like do something disgusting, but you had a player once who cheated on his wife. How are you comparing cheating to like killing someone in a car? The world's gone a bit mad with this sort of stuff. It's crazy to me. But
Terry, I've just got a quick question on this. Is it the FA that's actually investigating it, or is it just UEFA in general?
Well, it's the whatever. Italy are looking at it. The question is the ban is probably going to be like Ivan Toney's because he couldn't be loaned out. It is going to be a complete football ban, so he won't be able to play for Newcastle either. So,
do you also think maybe Tonali's got better lawyers? Came up with a better story.
Probably.
Like, do you know what I mean?
You can argue, maybe not better lawyers, but you can argue they've gone. What Toney should have done. He's come straight out and said, I'm a victim, as opposed to like you can learn from these things. You know what I mean? We have some super chats here. First one says, I think if footballers can't bet, then there should be no gambling sponsors on their shirts. Just my personal opinion.
They've started doing that because Nottingham Forest used to have, I think it was a betting company, and then they got told to scrap it off. That's why they didn't have a sponsor last season. So they've done that. So,
I do and I don't agree. I understand there's got to be rules and regulations surrounding it, but again, I'm someone who enjoys a bit of a gamble. Most people that gamble don't have a problem. Does this mean food companies can't sponsor football because some people are addicted to eating and it's life-threatening? I get like smoking is something that isn't advertised anymore in sport because of the health implications. But alcohol definitely still advertised at football. And
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola is terrible for you, and that's there. So again, I think there's an element here of like people being mindful. But again, I understand everyone views it differently depending upon experiences that they personally have gone through or family members have gone through and whatever else. But yeah, look, I no gambling at all in football. I wouldn't vote for that personally, but that's just my view. I believe in Asia.
To see
Sorry, mate.
what his judge. I think we have to wait and see what his judgment is, because obviously the media are gonna treat him differently. But until we see the actual judgment and how they do it in Italy, if they give him like a 2-month ban, it's going to be like, what are we talking about here? It's going to joke.
Yeah, I agree.
If they give him a 10-month ban, fair enough.
This year says, I hope Sancho recovers though and comes back a stronger man. He will be well supported by everyone at Newcastle for sure. I agree, Strasbourg, Stephen. He also says, I'm disappointed in what Tonali did. And if it was me, I'd ban him and everyone else who gambles as a pro athlete for life, to be honest. Let's also make it clear, what I've read is illegal gambling. The illegal gambling has been things like blackjack, which are illegal in Italy, but not illegal in the vast majority of the world. So he hasn't created some underground gambling ring that's like...
That's what I thought.
Again, it's quite important to read. So, yeah, it's again, what he's done. It's a bit like the tax fraud that a lot of footballers have been done for in Spain. What they've done in Spain is legal in 95% of the world. So when people think, so sometimes you've got to read into this stuff a little bit more. This here says Sheffield is perfect for Højlund to get goals.
I hope so.
I hope so. If you can score against Galatasaray and Bayern Munich, you can definitely score against Sheffield United. Actually, Sheffield United is under a worse run than Man United. They are also not at home, so no pressure from Old Trafford fans. That's a fair point. And we do need to win some more away from home. Terry, I'd love to get your take on the latest article shining a light on Ratcliffe's 25% deal. I haven't read it all in its entirety, so I'm going to touch on that tomorrow, Ginger. But yes, suffice us to say, it's not as we were first led to believe. Just as I said on Sunday morning, I don't trust the Glazers as far as I can throw their overweight backsides.
Big up the Glazers, man. Big them up.
Best owners in the game. Best owners in the game.
Yeah, you better hope we don't finish in front of any of you lot, because that'll be embarrassing then, wouldn't it? But there we go. Moving on from this, Merseyside derby this weekend. And I want to go to Egal first on this, because you've got an interesting take about the Merseyside derby.
It's the worst derby, let's be honest. No excitement. It's been 2 weeks of build-up to this weekend of Premier League football. And how many of you guys even knew the Merseyside derby is the first game back?
I had no idea.
Well, you know what it is? We're not excited about it, but if you live there, and if you've ever been to Liverpool, you'll see how much Liverpool
versus Everton. You're a Palace fan.
So I agree with what you're saying, but for those that actually live there, it's a game where you go to the ground and then you feel the Merseyside derby. It's not a game that you're going to watch on TV. Well, back in the day, it was a bit more competitive, a bit more about. But now, let's be honest, Everton, they're in a turmoil.
But
you're neutral here. But let me ask you a question. On TV, would you rather watch the Merseyside derby, or, for example, Tottenham versus another London side, or Arsenal versus another London side? Let's be honest. What's more entertaining to you now?
But then again, if you said that 10 years ago, people would be saying Merseyside derby over probably most derby.
I'm talking about the here and now.
Basically, Egal, it's basically
because Everton are so poor. It's so lopsided. It's not even fun.
No, but it's still entertaining, Egal. Do you know why? Because
what's entertaining?
So much shit happens.
The Anfield game is always 3-0 Liverpool.
No, but
the Anfield game is 3-0 Liverpool every time.
The actual excitement,
the fact there's no. I like the suspense. There feels like there's no suspense.
Incredible.
There feels like there's no suspense.
It has the most red cards than any other derby in the league. What
that makes it worse for the game for me.
It's exciting. I love it.
As I said,
I would rather watch Crystal Palace Brighton. I said that the other day, Dean, and people laughed at me.
We laughed at you because you tried to make it a derby by saying that both clubs have
Crystal Palace Brighton is different. It's a rivalry. It's not a derby. when it comes to the Merseyside derby, it's one of those games that if you probably go to it, that's when you will see like, damn, this game is exciting. There's yellow cards, red cards. There's excitement on the pitch. But I'll be honest, on a 12:30 on a Saturday, you put your heads up. You're just relaxing in your bed. You might turn it on and watch it. It's not going to be the most exciting game to watch at home. But if you're there and you're in the atmosphere, then trust me, they still have that excitement over it. It's like cousins and family that are from the other side fighting each other.
Can I ask a question to all the teams, that of top 16? Egal, if you go back 20 years ago where it was basically Arsenal versus Tottenham, who was 17th in the league at that point or somewhere along the lines of that, would you say the exact same thing?
Yeah. I'm keeping it consistent, bro. Yeah, to me, it's about the competitiveness.
But was it still exciting? Game. Was it still exciting?
It's about the competitiveness of the game. Obviously, the locals will still feel a certain way about it. I'm not saying to Liverpool fans and Everton fans. I'm looking at it as an outsider.
It's still the malice. It's still the rivalry between the two teams.
I'm talking about it from the outside. So I'm taking myself out of it as an Arsenal fan, and I'm looking from the outside looking in. If you take us back to Invincibles and we're slapping Tottenham every week, let's be honest, as a neutral, you're not going to care about that game. As an Arsenal fan or a Tottenham fan, you're going to care. But my point is, take the Everton and Liverpool side out of it. Look at it from a rival. Look at it from an outside watching a person watching it. It's not that big of a game.
If you're looking at it from a statistical point of view, Jurgen Klopp has only beaten Everton 2 times in his tenure at Liverpool.
That just means obviously
so then there is a competitive game. It's a game where it's actually competitive.
Right?
What you're saying? Everton's what? I'm so confused.
You guys whoop them all the time. Like
you guys beat them every game.
That's not right.
It's one of our hardest games that we have to face. Are we playing at Goodison or are we playing at Anfield? If it's Goodison,
Anfield.
You're at Anfield.
Oh, Anfield, then there's a different story.
Yeah, I was gonna say you beat him 3-0 every time. Like there's no challenge.
I'm gonna fact check him. By the way, guys, these are the last 6 results. They beat them 2-0 at Anfield. They drew 0-0, and they absolutely got angry. They beat them 2-0 at Anfield again. They beat them 4-1 at Goodison Park. They lost to them in 2021. In 2021, and then they drew in October. Majority of those games are all wins. And if I go back even further, there's more wins for Liverpool. I'm just saying it's a very one-sided affair. In the last 20 plus games, you guys have won 14, drawn 13, and they've only won 2.
But then it doesn't still take away from the fact that it's still an exciting game.
No, it's not exciting.
It's not.
How is it not exciting?
No, listen to me. It's exciting to everybody that's involved in the Merseyside derby. Anybody that's outside of the derby, nobody cares.
That's for most teams. You can say that for the most teams then.
That's not true because all of us can't wait for Sheffield United.
It was an exciting game.
Bro, do you think I care about Sheffield United and United? I know what the score's going to be.
Nobody, and I never said it was exciting. Nobody said that you had to tune in.
No, but there's more suspense in the Sheffield United game than there is the Merseyside derby.
Yeah, but only because you're waiting on United to. That's because you're waiting on United to, like, there's anticipation of United potentially dropping points. But I still think Liverpool against Everton is a massive rivalry. Even if on paper they're not at the same level, there's still that passion that you get from a derby like that. And for me, that's still entertaining.
Okay, Liverpool aside, who said, you know what I need to do tomorrow? I need to tune in to see what Everton got going on. Nobody cares what Everton do.
People might tune into People might tune in to be like, I wonder if Liverpool could drop points against Everton.
Bro,
and
if you do, I'll tune into the last 10 minutes. Up until 70 minutes, nobody cares, bro. Everton is so dogged that no one's tuning in.
Yeah, you're right. You're right that every other week no one's tuning in to watch Everton, but you can't say put Liverpool aside when for this game, like it is against Liverpool. Like, that's the point. It is the derby.
But you guys didn't let me finish. My point was, and then you add Liverpool back to the point, and Liverpool smoke them more often than they don't. So nobody is tuning into this game because no one cares, bro. That's just what it is. No one cares about Everton. You guys are gonna win 3-0. You're gonna be here saying, "Oh, it was exciting." No one cares.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna watch the game. I'm excited for football to be back. But did you guys know this was the first game back? Yes or no? Genuinely.
No, I had no idea.
No, because it should be on Super Sunday because it's a Merseyside derby.
It should be on Super Sunday.
It's always on Super Sunday.
Slap it on the Monday night.
Super Sunday is always Merseyside derby, Manchester derby, or North London derby. That's the main thing.
But to Egal's point, though, it is the worst derby.
Yeah, I agree.
The worst derby in the league?
What?
Villa against
I don't know.
Wolves.
I don't. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Forest versus Wolves.
The thing is, it's because I get where you guys are coming from, but it's because Everton have been so bad for so long. That's the problem with it. You lot would have been saying this, especially you kids, about the Manchester derby 15 years plus. 15 years plus ago, every now and then City beat Man United, but it was always dominant. United were always the better team. And unless you were a Man United fan, and sometimes only a Man United fan from Manchester, you didn't care about this game as much. The Liverpool game was bigger. Man United, Arsenal in the Premier League era, Man United, Tottenham. For a long period of time, Man United, Tottenham, Man United, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, of course, Man United, Liverpool were all bigger games. In fact, Man United, Newcastle was a bigger game than Man United, Man City from a league point of view, but it isn't anymore. I knew it was on, and I'm looking forward to it, but can anyone see an upset, though? Can anyone see Liverpool failing to win for 3 games on the bounce?
I can.
Oh,
Who said I can?
Yeah, I can see it happen. It's just one of those things. It's a derby. Everton, they've looked bad generally, but they've had a couple of games where you're like, well, where did that performance come from? After an international break, lunchtime kickoff, it's just one of those things that could end up. I think Liverpool win, but I can quite easily see Everton doing something.
That's the only thing, and we have injury. I don't want to use the injury card, but obviously Robbo's out for 10 weeks with a dislocated shoulder. Apparently Nunes is a doubt. Gakpo's just come back from injury, and Thiago's always injured. So we are missing.
Salah playing.
Salah, I think, might be playing. I don't know if he's.
So you win. He loves scoring against them. There you go. You win.
What? Just straight off the bat because he got Salah.
You're superior in every department. Everton haven't been good this year. I don't care what XG says. It's going to be one of those where Liverpool blitz them in a 20-minute spell. Everton shows some fight, but it ends 3-0.
I hope to God.
Ram, let me ask a question. Why are you bringing up injuries against a relegation team?
I'm not bringing up injuries. I'm just saying we got injuries. But I still think we're going to beat.
I'm not bringing up injuries, but I started my sentence talking about injuries. How's that make sense?
That's what I'm saying. We're not. It's not going to be like a 7-0 drubbing or like an 8-0. It'll probably be more or less like a 2-1.
Bro, I'm gonna be so real. I wanted Everton to get relegated last season, fam.
And so do I.
Last season for 2-3 years.
I've wanted them relegated for so long, bro. It's not even a hate thing. It's just they're irrelevant, bro. Get them out. Give somebody else a try. No one cares.
I don't want to take it that far. I don't want to see them get relegated. I kind of like Everton. Of course, you like matchup whenever I see them go up against Arsenal.
Of course, you like Everton. I don't know any other football fan.
When it comes to this game, guys, this game, by the way, Liverpool are undefeated at home for the last 14 games. I don't think that's going to end today, even though that could potentially. And then you know what? You got on the other side the fact that these guys can score so many goals. Even if it gets to a situation where Everton do score, I trust Liverpool's attack more than I trust Everton's defense any day of the week. So I think Liverpool have one of the best attacks in the league, and they're gonna destroy Everton. I think maybe 3-0.
Question, brother. Isn't Egal? Would this not be Everton's perfect time to turn their season around?
No, because they're actually undefeated in the last 4 games away from home, if I'm not mistaken.
Have they won any of those games?
So this is going to be that loss. You get what I'm saying?
But wouldn't it not be the perfect time for them to finally break that duck and get that win?
No. They've actually been winning away from home.
Oh, yeah.
This is when they lose.
Okay. Look, I'm with everyone. Yeah, I wish that Liverpool could smack these man 8-0. I hate Everton. I absolutely hate them. But 12:30 kickoff, straight after international break, and everything that's going about, and Everton want to try and ruin our day. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. I think it will be. I think we'll still win. 100% we'll still win, but we're going to win 2-1. That's it.
I think it'll be way more convincing. I think it'll be way more convincing. I don't know. You start with injuries. You spoke about 2-1. I think you're getting a bit too worried about Everton. I mean, we're talking about Everton.
It's not that. See, Ram's nickname on the terrace is like the Star Wars character Chewbacca is Two-Backer because he has no chest. Because he has no chest, we call him Two-Backer.
Well, even though I said we're gonna challenge for the league this season,
Injuries. We might not be able to beat a team that's going to get relegated. I'm worried.
I said we'll still beat them. Yes, I said we'll still beat them. And plus, the things that I want Liverpool to do, they don't really give it to me, so it's not going to happen. So it is what it is.
Yeah, sounds like you're married, mate.
It is, Terry. You can relate with your own football club, innit? So it is what it is.
Are you comparing the last 5 or 6 years at Liverpool to Man United under the Glazers?
No, I'm not. You're just twisting it. Stop
Again,
it.
no, I'm not, that is not twisting it.
That's
That is
exactly
not
what you
twisting it.
said.
You said you could relate to it. I can't relate to a team that's had 3 Champions League finals, 1 a Premier League.
No, but
you're
doing it again.
I can't relate in
doing
recent
it
years.
again. It's the fact that your football club can sometimes give you the greatest moments,
By the way,
but
Kirk
also let you
Paulson's
down
the
in so many
referee.
situations.
Craig Paulson's the referee. So
See, I don't know if that's good or bad because I don't follow referees. Is that good or bad?
They hate Craig Paulson.
Apparently, it's not good for us. Apparently, it's not good for us. But we still should beat them. I still don't care. I just want the beat, man.
Dizzy, score predictions for the game, please, brother.
Bro, Liverpool's going to beat him like 3-0. No one's going to care by Saturday afternoon, honestly.
Ram?
2-1. I'm still sticking with 2-1.
3-1.
D? Sorry, I got thrown off by Rory dropping out there. Someone went and I weren't sure who.
3-0 Liverpool, man. 3-0 Liverpool. Come on, man. Let's yeah. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be confident about this game. Come on. It's Everton. With all due respect.
It's Everton. Thank you.
It's Everton. Rory, your prediction for this game?
2-1 to Liverpool.
Alex?
Why do you go at Rory,
4-0.
4-0?
Liverpool.
4-0.
Yeah, I think comfy.
I'm going 3-0 Liverpool also.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-0. 3-0, comfortable, easy. One of those games where the last 20 minutes we all leave the room and make a sandwich, getting ready for the 3 o'clock games. That's no disrespect.
I would love it. I would love it, man. Honestly, I would.
All
love
right,
it
Kevin Keegan, chill out. I get you. Would viewers please hit like button for us? Please subscribe. Now, of course, we're going to get into a bit of transfer talk a little bit later, but there's a big game this weekend, and I'm excited about this one as a neutral because both sets, for the first time in a long while, in terms of the football terrace community, both sets of fans feel very confident they can win the game. Chelsea host Arsenal. I want to go to Alex first as it's your debut. How are you feeling about this game? I've seen lots of combined 11s where Chelsea fans are putting 6 or 7 Chelsea players in. Whoa. They are convinced. A lot of Chelsea are convinced they can win this game. How do you feel about it? Are you confident that you can beat Arsenal, or do you think they'll just be too strong for you?
I'm excited for this game, only because I think this is a good litmus test for us to find out how good our manager is, and at the same time test the squad. I think we can beat them. I really do. I think the team's strong enough. There is no excuses. On our day, we can beat anyone. The problem is are the young players going to step up to the field? Personally, I think I'm confident that we're going to see a big performance because Poch will set us up and out. It will be a tactical battle that will come out on top one.
Where's Chelsea got all this confidence from all of a sudden?
Bro, 3 wins does that to you. When you don't win for like
3 wins does that to you, but you're facing Arteta, you're facing Arsenal side that's got stronger, with players coming back from injuries. You're facing Arsenal, you literally coming off the momentum of beating Man City as well. I mean, yes, Chelsea have got 3 wins, but I mean, you're still facing Arsenal, who are the better side. I think this game is bigger for Arsenal than it is for Chelsea because Arsenal, after beating City, they got that mental block out of the way. But now, if you don't go and get a result against Chelsea, it's a question of, cool, you beat City, but then that was, it's mediocre if you don't pick up all 3 against Chelsea.
But I think a draw
D, what do you mean by bigger for Arsenal?
I think this game is bigger for Arsenal. Look, they're coming off a win against Man City. That was the mental block for Arsenal, right? Now, if they go into this game and end up losing to Chelsea, I don't care if they won 3 games this season. We know that Chelsea are still in the process. Then that would not be serious from Arsenal. You can't go beat City and get happy about, beating City and saying, you know what, we're serious now. We have to keep this momentum going. And then the next game, you go and lose to Chelsea. This game is massive for Arsenal. It is. Arsenal needs to carry this momentum from the City game.
We can't
Not
go
really,
win
not
through-
really,
we
not
can't-
really. Because what's your expectation this season? Chelsea are not, with all due respect, I know you spend a lot of money, but you're not a serious club compete for the title. Arsenal are.
No, we're not going to compete for the title.
Yeah, so if you lose this game, I don't think Chelsea's season, or if you win this game, I don't think Chelsea's season is going to have a major impact. But every single game matters for Arsenal now, because Arteta ideally needs to win something sooner rather than later. And if it's going to be this season when you beat Man City, you have to go to the Chelsea game and try to beat Chelsea as well.
I think Chelsea could even lose the game and still get a moral victory based on their performance. Like
we don't do moral victories. That's
no. I'm just being.
We shouldn't become that.
The reality is
Arsenal.
the reality is your team. It kind of reminds me of when Arsenal was going Arsene Wenger versus Jose days, where we had a bunch of kids. We had a young team that was relatively unproven players going up against a team that was competing for the league. We knew what the result was going into these games. And I feel like this game, once again, we pretty much know that Arsenal are competing for the league. The pressure's on us. I fully agree. And we have to come out there with the victory. Anything less than a victory for Arsenal would be an upset. Based on that, they're 100% right.
I wouldn't say
Chelsea,
upset, though.
I would say it's a bit massive.
I wouldn't
upset.
say it's an upset.
Chelsea
Not a massive
at home,
upset. No way.
Chelsea are, forget about Chelsea as a club. They're 11th place. They in the last 40 games before these first 3 wins, they played 38 games and I think they only had like 30 points or something like that, or 40 points. So based on that, their relegation form before these last 3 games. So based on their performance,
that's ridiculous to look at it in that context.
How they were to what we have been for the last calendar year, we have to look at this game and say to ourselves, we know it's Chelsea. We have to go in there, professional job. Don't underestimate them, but we have to go in there and still get the job done and win, because we need to keep it going. And I think this is probably a good time for Chelsea because they're on 3 games on the bounce, but this is probably one of the worst teams to play at this moment in time because of how confident we are coming off the back of playing Manchester City.
So, Egal, I hear what you're saying there. Like, Alex, what's your response to that from a Chelsea perspective?
Yeah, for me, anyone comparing us to last season is ridiculous. 70% of the players are gone. We had Frank, Potter, and Tuchel in a season. You need to judge Chelsea based off Poch's time at Chelsea. I'm not saying Poch is the fantastic manager, nor am I saying Chelsea are going to win the league. But I think Chelsea have been decent this year. We've just been unlucky, like with results. So if Chelsea go and beat Arsenal, I wouldn't say, oh my God, I'm shocked that we beat Arsenal. Because we create chances. We don't finish chances. So I've got no doubt that we'll create the chances. And when you create chances, you win games. Like, I don't think it's such a shock. And I think a point for Arsenal would be great. Like, you're going away. It's a great point.
No Arsenal fan is happy with a point. We've not lost at Stamford Bridge in about 5 years. And this is, apart from last year, probably the biggest gap there's been in terms of our quality compared to yours. So a draw would be a bad result for Arsenal.
A draw would there would people be melting down if we drew. Like,
so then it's written for Chelsea to stop Arsenal from winning then, because they're not good. Arsenal haven't lost there in God knows how long, or haven't not taken.
This would be the perfect time, right?
This is the perfect time,
right?
Okay,
bro, they'll say all this and say Arsenal will win.
One second. I have a rebuttal. I clearly have a rebuttal for everything, and you guys don't even know what I'm about to say right now, but you've done yourselves. The difference with Sheffield United was they didn't win a game the whole time. These guys are off 3 games off the bounce. So once again, similar to the Everton situation, where they were on a record of winning games, these guys are on a record of winning games, and we're going to just bring them down back to reality. Now, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, we're going to absolutely smash Chelsea, because I don't believe that's what's going to happen. I just think it's going to be a situation where when our 2 teams play, they're going to realize that their issue, which has been scoring goals, is going to be even worse when they face a defense that is built to neutralize chance creation. We do not let teams get too many chances. We do not let you get too many opportunities. You have to be extremely clinical against Arsenal to score goals, which Tottenham were, which Manchester United were. Now, if you can be clinical, you might have an opportunity to get something out of this game. But Chelsea's biggest issue is to be clinical in front of goal when they do get opportunities. And against an Arsenal team that gives you not too many opportunities, I don't back them to do that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think Chelsea is speaking. Like, I think Alex, you're probably speaking about this game in your own bubble. You're coming off a 3-game win streak. I know it's been rough for you lot for pretty much this whole year, if you look at it. But you're on a new process. But now you're looking at this game. We're facing Arsenal. We've got 3 games in a row. You're living off your own momentum. But I think as neutrals, I'm looking at Chelsea saying, yes, they've won them games, but Arsenal are still the better side. Arsenal have been the better side. Arsenal are the most serious side. I think going into this game, Arsenal are favourites. The pressure is on Arsenal. I'm not looking at Chelsea saying, oh, Chelsea don't win this. Chelsea haven't reached that levels yet. If they win this, then there'll be more talk about Chelsea. Oh, look, Chelsea beat Arsenal. Interesting. They won 3 games. They beat Arsenal. But you have to go and do it. And the chance of that is, as Egal mentioned, I mean, look at City game, for example. Man City didn't create that many. Haaland was quiet all game long because Arsenal have been very solid defensively. They have the joint most clean sheets in the Premier League this season alongside with Palace. And there's a reason for that. So I think, yes, Chelsea are struggling to score their chances, but how many chances are you going to create in the first place? And as Egal said, with the chances that you do create, we've seen that you're not clinical enough. Would you be able to take them? I think there's so many ifs and buts. I think the favourites are Arsenal. Arsenal should be trying to win this game. But Chelsea, we'll see if you lot are serious. It's going to be a big test for you lot in your own bubble, like a Chelsea.
Bro, it's a massive test.
Saying, yeah, it's a massive test. But for Arsenal,
massive, and it's a Poch test. It's not even a player's test. It's a Poch test because he needs to get a massive statement victory against the big side, where we look at him and we go, okay, cool, you can outcoach another coach. The Klopp one, where people took moral victories, oh, you know what, we drew with Liverpool. No, like we should have won that game. So one of those performances against Arsenal, I won't be taking any.
It's written.
Alex, let me ask you a question. When it comes to Arsenal, who have you got to stop to ensure you get the win? And who are the players in your team that you think will be equipped to do that?
Bukayo Saka. I think, for me, he's one of my favourite players to watch. And I think he's really developed into, I don't need to play well and I'll score goals. So we'll literally... In my opinion, Colwell's going to have one of those games like he had against Salah, where he's going to have to step up. And I hate that he's at left back, but it's just something that's going to have to happen. I hope Odegaard continues his little away from home form, where he just disappears consistently against big teams, if we can call ourselves a big team still. But realistically speaking, the midfield battle for me is going to be integral for us to win. I think Caicedo, Gallagher, and Enzo are more than a match. If anything, I think it's the better midfield 3 than their one, whatever combination they want to put out there. We just need to stop Saka, and I think that would be enough, personally.
Sorry, what was the midfield 3 you said was better?
I think Enzo, Gallagher, and Caicedo is better than any combination 3 you can put out there.
Oh, based on what?
What?
How many minutes? How many minutes do you even play together? What are you talking about?
Wait. Who's Arsenal's?
He said Gallagher and
Rice
are better than any combination Arsenal can put out.
Rice, Partey, and Odegaard.
Odegaard, yeah, that's going to be the 3.
Let's go off that.
I don't think
I genuinely.
That's a
2-1 victory for Chelsea.
Guys, let Alex explain. You're asking him, and let him explain it.
For me, that's a 2-1 victory for Chelsea. I think Enzo and Caicedo in a double pivot is better than, in my opinion, Declan Rice and Partey. I think they can dominate that midfield. I think Gallagher will get in and around Odegaard and put him off his game, as he consistently disappears in those big away from home games. Odegaard is prone for those big games to disappear.
Do you know what would help your case, Al? Do you know what would help your case a lot if you replace Gallagher with Nkunku? But Gallagher's just so much. And we're not talking about any average players. We're talking about Rice and Partey.
We won't do that, Ram. Let's just break down what Alex had just said. So his point is he believes that Enzo and Caicedo are better than Declan Rice and Partey. No. The one point he makes, which I want to address first, is if Odegaard disappears in big games, then his presence in that midfield 3 in a big game is it irrelevant? It's a fair point, because Arsenal fans say he goes missing in those games. Is that not a fair point, Egal?
Honestly, I was going to let Rory go first on this one because I seen he was itching to jump on it. But I think it's an irrelevant point. I think the fact that he's basically saying because Odegaard doesn't get a goal or an assist, first of all, we've only played 2 away games this season. We haven't faced a big team away from home yet.
Bro, so you were judging our 40-game track record. What about your track record?
So based on that, his whole point of don't judge this team out based on last year is out the window, because he's judging Odegaard based off last year, which last year, if I'm not mistaken,
same variables.
15 goals and 7 assists. So are we going to go through each away performance against all the top 6? And you can tell me off the top of my head what he did? Come on. You're clutching at straws here. I really do think you're clutching at straws.
It's a shambles. It's a shambles. Firstly, Caicedo isn't fit to lace Thomas Partey's boots in his time at Chelsea so far.
That's why you were twerking for him. That's why all of you were twerking for him. He was actually going to play right back. I
said in his
pictures of you two coming soon.
I said in his time at Chelsea so far, if you think that Caicedo at Chelsea so far has been what Caicedo was at Brighton, then that's interesting and I disagree. Declan Rice is better than Enzo Fernandez and Ødegaard is in a different stratosphere to Conor Gallagher. And even if you say that, okay, Caicedo and Enzo is a slightly better pairing than Rice and Thomas Partey, as an overall midfield, Ødegaard is so much better than Gallagher that if you're taking the midfield as a 3, the difference between Ødegaard and Gallagher is massive compared to any potential difference between Partey, Rice, Enzo, and Caicedo.
You know what?
This is where facts, Rory, and I couldn't have said it better myself. But the main issue I had with what he said was, I get it if these guys have played together for enough of a sample size for you to say this, but they haven't played enough together. I don't even know how many minutes those 3 have played together for you to put them up there at some of the best in the league.
How many minutes have your boys played together? Guess
what? Part of winning a midfield battle is not only creating chances, holding on to possession. You actually have to keep the other team from scoring. And you actually have to help your team contribute to goals and winning games. What contributions to winning games has Enzo Fernandez done? In his time at Chelsea, he's contributed to only, I think, 5 wins in the Premier League. We're talking about the best midfielder, best young midfielder in the world. Stop it, bro. You're overrating these young players. Give them time to develop. Give them time to actually do what they're doing. Let them get to that level where we're having this conversation. Now, when we gas up players when they've won a World Cup, I hear it. When Conor Gallagher, he's been performing well, I hear it. The last person I want to hear about is this Chelsea midfield. If you were to say your defense, guess what? Your defense has actually been good for years. So I get it. If you're to say your attack, that's laughable. And your midfield, what is it actually doing? It's not contributing to winning games. It's holding on to possession, pointless recycling of the ball that's not leading to chance creation that's not being scored, and defensive lapses that is losing you games. So stop it, bro. Just relax.
You know what you just said contradicts itself. Like it's leading to chance creation that's not being scored. So clearly chances are being created.
Yes, but
no. Hold on. You said they don't do anything. So clearly they're creating chances. Like clearly your sentences were, it's leading to chance creation that isn't being scored. So they are doing something. We have a good defense.
The other part.
You say we have a good defense.
To goals.
So what? Defense only works with the back 4.
No,
defense is only the back 4.
1 second. You genuinely believe the midfield battle is going to be won by Chelsea. I genuinely believe we're going to let you hold on to the ball and your midfield is going to cost you the game because you're going to lose the ball in the wrong areas of the pitch.
We'll see.
That's my belief. I think we've seen it. We've seen it with
by the way, I think the opposite is going to happen. I think we're going to give up the ball in the game.
Hey,
I wouldn't be surprised if we give up.
Either way, we're equipped to play that style. But my point is, even without many touches of the ball, your midfield is prone to errors. We played a City team that had Rodri wasn't there, but their players only give up the ball about 14% of the time. Some of your guys in your midfield give up the ball more than 20% of the time, bro. What are we talking about here?
I don't think it's a disrespectful conversation to have. I think it's more fair than you Arsenal fans are allowing Alex to say. I think it's a fair conversation. I think Caicedo hasn't hit the heights that he did at Brighton for sure, but I think he's a much better player than he's showing that he is at the moment.
Bro, he's been excellent in the last 3 games. People won't say that because they only clip the negatives. They only clip like the 1 second that he gives the ball away, that gets clipped. And it's the same for Rice, by the way.
And we
Rice gives the ball away once, so that clipped.
And we know what Enzo Fernandez is. That guy is a baller. Let's not act like he's a scrub. So I think it's a much fairer conversation than you guys are letting on.
I think you could argue that Enzo could get into an Arsenal midfield. I think if you built a midfield, I think there's a fair argument that Enzo could get into it. But I think if you're talking about if you want one midfield, if you have to take the full Arsenal midfield or a full Chelsea midfield, I think it's definitely.
I think that's the conversation. Like even as a neutral, I'm looking at Arsenal's midfield is not the thing you should be fighting against, because even if you compare Caicedo to anyone, Arsenal midfield is still really, really good. Rice is a really, really good player. He's almost comparable to Caicedo, if not better. Odegaard's been, even though people say he shies away from the big games, even though he scored shies away from the big games away from home, he's still shown to be a very, very good player. And Partey's shown to be a very good player himself. I think this is not the fight you should be fighting for.
Yeah.
I think you need to retreat, my friend.
I can't lie. I've seen Conor Gallagher for majority of the season at Palace, and he's a solid player. But comparing Gallagher to Odegaard is.
But I didn't compare him though, did I?
Yeah.
I said
but we're talking about midfield.
You chose to listen to go one-on-one.
Yeah, but we're talking about the midfield three. I'm sorry, Arsenal's midfield is better because Gallagher is there. And this narrative about Odegaard not being featuring in big games, what, Gallagher's a big game player?
Away from
all
home.
of a sudden. Like, what's his narrative?
Bro, Gallagher's been good.
He's been one of the better players this season. He's been one of the better players this season. He's been significant for Arsenal. Yes, you're still building a new team, a new midfield, but I'm sorry, your midfield hasn't done nothing. And including Gallagher in the midfield three and comparing it to that Arsenal midfield three, it just the Arsenal midfield three wins it just on the basis of Odegaard. And Rice is fantastic. And you had Partey there as well. That midfield three is complete. It should be complete. They haven't featured as much because of injuries or so, but that midfield is better. It's not. I don't think it's up for debate. Like Enzo is a fantastic footballer, like I said, is as well. But we haven't seen him at that level. But Arsenal, we've seen with Rice this season. We've seen with Odegaard.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask you a question. You haven't seen Rice at what? You haven't seen. You say right. You haven't seen Enzo at that level, but you've seen Rice at that level. I'm talking
about this season because Enzo for
so what we base our opinions on players
on 8 games.
Yeah, we're talking about.
You're willing to base this whole theory based on 3 games. What are you talking about?
No, because I'm basing it on. Listen, if my club pays 100 million for Enzo and Caicedo, there's a reason you pay that kind of money for these players because you've seen what they are capable of.
And also,
so I can't just throw that away and base it on 8 games. No, but I think Rice is a good player. I didn't say Rice is a bad player. You're the one taking it to full extremes. I just think that combination of a 3.
What does Gallagher offer? What does Gallagher offer that Odegaard doesn't?
No, don't do it.
What does Gallagher offer? Because all right, we'll talk about Rice and Caicedo. What does Rice? Because Odegaard is so clear of Gallagher that it shouldn't even be up for debate. And I've seen Gallagher play.
It's the dirty work he offers.
It's dirty work.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes Ji-Sung Punk might have made a career off it.
Someone said
there
wrong
are
here.
players that make careers off it.
I mean, but again, you're talking about whole midfield. You're talking about whole midfield. Declan Rice does the dirty work. Declan Rice is an absolute machine in the midfield. So you don't. So what I'm saying is, you don't need a Conor Gallagher if you've got a Declan Rice who can do everything Gallagher does and a whole lot more. That's the point. You've got no creator in that midfield. You've got a deep lying playmaker in Enzo, but you've got no Odegaard. It's not a good midfield. It doesn't work.
This is why if I said Nkunku comes in, it's just different. It's just different.
No, because I don't think Nkunku makes that midfield work. By the way.
Oh, I think he does. 4-2-3-1, it makes you so much more dangerous.
I think Carney Chukwuemeka makes us better.
I rate him though.
And that's with time when he develops. So but for me, I just think Gallagher's dirty work off the ball is going to be pivotal. If Gallagher has a terrible game tomorrow, we're in big trouble. I think he's going to have to be so good to disrupt Odegaard. Because Odegaard's a good player. No one's called a rubbish player.
Let me ask you something. Based on what you're saying, do you believe this team has the potential to go on and become a title challenger very soon?
No, because I don't like our front three. I don't like our front three.
Okay, so you're saying you're 3 players away from potentially challenging?
And a keeper. I don't like our keeper.
So you're 4 players away from potentially challenging.
Yeah, well, what do you want me to do?
You think you have a core of players that are good enough to help this Chelsea team go on and win things?
Well, yeah, based on what I think this team is capable of, in the sense that I like Levi Colwill. I think he's a very good player. I like Enzo Fernandez. I like Caicedo. I like Reece James. I like Badiashile. I like Wesley Fofana. These players were purchased to win leagues. They weren't purchased to compete for 6th or 7th. So if I go and say we need 9 players, I'm being very disingenuous. I think we are literally a great goalkeeper away, a number 9.
And a right back that can play.
Sorry? Gusto's good. I think Gusto's a very good player.
No, I was talking about Reece James, your captain. I think I don't know about y'all, but I don't know how much time and grace you guys are gonna give Reece James.
As much as he needs.
The guy misses damn near 60% of the season every season.
Trust me.
I know it turned out that he wasn't in. Well, I think he's back in training, but I rate Reece James highly. But I do think Chelsea have got to start a plan to move beyond him because his body is made of biscuits, and that's not an attack on him. I've just seen this movie before, and with all our players, our clubs, Arsenal's standout would probably be, a combination of Jack Wilshere or Diaby. At Man United, the one who actually stands out to me, two players. One was a bit older, to be fair, but Owen Hargreaves and Anderson, two midfielders who their United careers got ruined by injury as an example. And I just think Reece James is going to go down that path as well, which is so unfortunate because when it comes to his ability, he has the ability to be the best right back in Premier League history. He's that good. But if your body can't play the game, it's a part of sport. It's your physicality, and he just doesn't seem to have it.
6 hamstring injuries in 3 years.
Yeah, but you know what, Rory? I think Chelsea did the right thing. They got Gusto in, who could potentially grow to be now. He can contribute now and grow to be a good starting caliber right back. So it's not like I don't play Reece James tomorrow. By the way, there is no way I'm throwing him in against Martinelli straight away because
you keep saying tomorrow. It's Saturday, 2 days.
Sorry,
and panicking.
Sorry.
I don't know what my kids are. I hear you, guys. I want to do some of these super chats here because there's quite a few of them. I want to respect the viewers here. First one says, this is from Highbury Ultras. He says, I want you all to remember Don said we're arrogant, yet we're debating if a midfield of Gallagher, is better than ours. No underdog gimmick on Saturday, please.
None.
Dan Waters here says, games are won in midfield. Enzo, Caicedo, Gallagher make a great balance. They have been bossing the midfield. Gallagher gets too much disrespect. Better stats than Rice this season. The pressure is on Arsenal.
Better stats.
I'd rather have
better
Rice.
stats. What about eye test? Why is it every time it's all about stats? What about the eye test? Rice is being. Why are we comparing Rice to? Oh, God, let me just.
What stats? What stats?
That's
just
what
better stats. Clueless.
He's more dirty. I don't know. I don't know how you mentioned that.
Man like Don is here. He says, so Rice is a world-class 8 now, all of a sudden.
Did a pretty good job of it against City at the weekend. A couple of weekends.
I think that's not the question, though, I think people forget that Partey was also transitioned from an 8 to a 6. Rice can play both. And why are we acting like he didn't just play a 2-man midfield at West Ham for the majority of those years?
No, because he's not a world-class 8. He's a world-class 6 in my opinion.
No one's calling him world-class anything. I'm just merely answering the
question. The question says, is Rice a world-class 8 now all of a sudden?
No, I'm just merely saying people are acting like just because you're not known for being in one position, you can't play multiple positions and play them well.
Jimmy here, thank you, Don. Don actually messaged me as well, Egal. He just sent me a message on WhatsApp and said, let Egal know he's waffling hard right now.
I'll catch him on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. In 1 year, there will be no comparison between Caicedo, Enzo, Lavia. I can't pronounce that name.
Ugochukwu.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, sorry, my brain went. And Nkunku and Rice and Partey probably injury prone. Odegaard and Havertz. So Jimmy here saying in a year's time that Chelsea midfield will be miles clear of Arsenal. Interesting take.
Maybe.
A lot
if they all click, they can.
A lot.
If they all click, they can be very.
They won't be miles though.
But to be miles.
Oh, not miles, but that's just it could be better.
I've heard this take a million times. I remember going back early 2010s, I was saying the same thing about Arsenal players, comparing them to Chelsea when Chelsea were better. And at this point, some of them are just in denial. Like, I can't.
Wait, hold on. So you were in denial at the time. Wait.
I was.
So I was. Oh, okay. So you wanted. Oh, thanks.
When I was going to Stamford Bridge with Oxlade-Chamberlain, Santi Cazorla, and Arteta in my midfield, and these guys, and these
I
guys were
respect
winning the
Chamberlain,
entire-
man.
You
won a
come and
championship.
you come on these streams and lie to our faces, and I'll try to tell you, and you'll tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Bro,
No,
I'm
but
talking
Egal,
about before I even did YouTube, and you're telling me about what am I
No,
talking
I'm
about?
talking
now?
about when you was lying, fam, to my face.
When did I say I lied? What are you
Bro,
talking
you've been deluded for a long time, G. Don't do that.
about? Bro, so I can spot when somebody else is being clearly delusional.
Okay, fair enough. Birds of a feather, I suppose.
Egal just coming in with the take ones to no one. This here from Jimmy says Chelsea are gonna absolutely spank Arsenal.
Exhibit A.
No,
I think he might be a Chelsea fan.
they're being hyper.
Oh, based on his last
Jimmy-
comments.
Yeah, I think Jimmy definitely is a Chelsea fan. This is an interesting one. This is from Robert. He says, "Oof, not Egal and Rory just destroying a Chelsea fan." Oof. Brian here says Martinelli is cooking Chelsea. Lol. Are you fearful, Alex, of what Martinelli possesses on the left as well?
I really like the player. You know what I hate? They've got a lot of likable players. Like, I can't stand their fans. So it makes me, like, I genuinely can't stand their fans. Like, I went to school, 80% of the class was Arsenal fans, so I couldn't support that team. But they've got so many likable players that I actually enjoy watching. So I don't mind when they do well, but then I remember I don't like their fans. So it just comes like I just want them all to fail. But Martinelli's quality, like, it'll be a nice battle to watch for Gusto, just to see whether he can step up and deal with a one-on-one presence. Like, he dealt well with Matoma, and I just it's a good test for him. Like, it will tell me where our team is, like, realistically speaking, if we can talk this smoke or we can't.
I hear you. Anton here says 1-0 to Chelsea. Mudryk shot deflected off that donkey in the last minute of the game.
Terry,
Can you imagine?
If there's two people that need to score for social content chaos, it's
Havertz.
Mudryk or Havertz. One of those two need to score. Please, someone score.
I have a question for Egal. Egal, which goalkeeper starts?
Oh, there's no question, Raya. I don't know why we're still talking about goalkeeper, who starts, who doesn't. It's clear as day. Raya starts.
I thought Ramsdale was the best in the world.
Ramsdale was the best goalkeeper last season.
Last season, he was one of the best goalkeepers in the league, and I don't think that's
He was
doubtable.
voted the best goalkeeper in the league.
But they replaced him at the soonest available opportunity. Makes sense. All right, never
Guess
mind.
what?
Wait, I got a question.
If you
I
can
got a
get
question
better-
for Rory and Egal then.
If you can get
So if
slightly
you were
better,
the
and the manager deems it better, it's on him.
if you
So
were the
Ray has
manager,
to be the best in the world then.
who would you start?
Yeah, right.
Raya starts.
Probably Raya, just because he's been playing more. I mean, it's a game that's like perfect for Ramsdale in terms of away at a difficult atmosphere, but probably Raya. Arteta doesn't have to compromise for Raya, whereas he does for Ramsdale. So
Fair point. This is an interesting stat. I don't know if it's true. It says, is it true Chelsea have scored 8 of their 11 goals against the promoted sides?
3 against Luton.
4 against Burnley.
7.
So yeah, probably. Have you
Who's the
played
other
Sheffield?
promoted side?
Sheffield
No, we haven't
United.
played
Sheffield United haven't played.
Yeah,
No,
so-
that's not right.
So it's not quite right, but it's not far off.
7.
It's
It's not far off.
it's been close to it. Tevin here says the Odegaard narrative is vastly overstated. Man scored away at Newcastle and Spurs off the top of my head. This is mental. Do you boys think that the Odegaard ghosting in big games is an overstated fallacy?
So we're talking about the big games. Big
Massively.
games. We're talking Liverpool.
The thing is, the main games people reference are against City and then like Anfield, and the problem is it's not Odegaard that ghosts. It's the whole team has far less control in those games, and so Odegaard is just way less influential, and then he gets highlighted by certain morons, and they start giving him stupid nicknames.
Don't try that. You were dominating us in the first 20 minutes at Anfield.
Rory, what are these nicknames, Rory? What are these nicknames he's given?
Gibraltar guard or something like that.
Gibraltar guard.
To the GA. Everyone just cares about GA. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Everyone just cares about GA. They don't look at the overall performance.
No.
It's easy to go through the list of games that player's played and try to find a fault in it. Anyone can do that. But if you actually watch some of these performances, he might not be scoring the goals, but he's either assisting or he's the person setting up the pre-assist or he's doing a big part. He's contributing in a massive way. But apparently number 10s now have to score like Messi or they're not good enough.
He's
not even a 10, he's an 8.
Not in the games that I mentioned.
But you know what I mean.
This here from Blaze. Thank you, Anton, for that super chat. It says, all I'm saying is don't lose to a shite midfield and attack because it's going to be peak. Trying to gas a midfield win against Lewis and Cover. Right, okay, yeah, Lewis and Cover. You'll be shocked, is
Rico
what Blaze
Lewis
says here.
He's a Man City fan, I think.
Yeah, Rico Lewis. Yeah, Dan here says stats as in more tackles, more interceptions, etc. 1 possession more times than anyone else in the league in the attacking third.
Yeah,
his pressing work rate is unmatched.
These are stats that apply to teams that have less control of games because you have to make more tackles. It's the same as it's like the idea that defenders that have
we
more
have a lot of
tackles
control.
in a game,
problem,
but less control than us. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think if you look at the stats for possession, I don't think there's much between us.
No, it's not about possession. It's about you give the ball away more, and therefore, like, we will not have the ball, and we'll let the other team have the ball for a while. Like, it's the same as when people look at defenders' stats and they say, "Oh, he's made way more tackles, therefore they're better." Like, no, they just have to make more tackles.
Is this against Declan Rice? Because who's it against?
I guess Odegaard.
No, I think this is the guy that was talking about Rice. Yeah.
But there's one stat he doesn't surpass him is that distance covered. I mean, Declan Rice covers most areas of the pitch, and when you got players like Odegaard and players like Zinchenko who likes to drop into midfield, or even Ben White, and hard-working wingers, you don't need to put that much level of tackling or pressing if you've got players like that can do it.
I don't know what. It's funny. Sorry, Rory, to cut you. I'm trying to think about a situation. We're comparing Declan Rice to Conor Gallagher. I don't know how this has managed to happen, but this is incredible. This is incredible.
It is a crazy debate. This here is from Dennis, who says, for the Chelsea fan talking about Gallagher's dirty work, Odegaard has applied more pressure than any other player in the league this season. 253 of them.
I need to see this verified.
I saw it.
Odegaard literally triggers our press.
I saw that stat earlier.
So does Soboslai.
I've seen. I mean, someone sent me something about Man United now. How much we want to be back in the opponent's half. It's loads of teams do well at it. Gallagher isn't even better than El Neni, is what Tony Bloom.
Easy. El Neni's still a bum.
That's debatable still.
Egal, you're being called out here with this super chat though. It says Egal is backing Odegaard with eye test, but literally criticized Enzo, saying he hasn't contributed to Chelsea's goals and wins. I think we have our Gal back, deluded.
What are we talking about? 1 second. First, was Martin Odegaard not a candidate for player of the season in the PFA and the Premier League last season compared to Enzo Fernandez, who in his time at Chelsea has not contributed to winning? What are we talking about here?
Enzo has a World Cup.
He
won Golden Ball. He won Golden Ball.
Shkodran Mustafi had a World Cup.
He didn't win Golden Ball, did he?
You know what? At this point, I
got him there.
You guys just chatting absolute BS. When it comes to Enzo Fernandez, I'm not calling him a bad player, but you guys talk about him and rave about him as if he's done all these amazing things. He hasn't actually contributed to winning football at Chelsea, and at this point, he might look like a luxury player.
Emmanuel here says, how many times does the better side suffer upsets?
It's a perfect time.
It happens all the time.
Bro, it is the perfect time. It is the perfect
Imagine this weekend if 3 upsets happen. Sheffield United win, Everton win, and Chelsea win. It'd be crazy. It'd be a crazy weekend.
You want to know something? Chelsea winning would be the bigger shock than Sheffield United.
What?
What? Talk so much shit. Honestly,
Egal, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, you actually behaved a lot, right?
Egal, you were spitting on that. Like even there, you're laughing. There's a reason why I laughed. Come on, man.
Listen. I'm just saying, Chelsea against Arsenal, Manchester United versus Sheffield United. Debatable.
Sheffield United, I think, one of the worst teams in the. They literally lost 8-0 to Newcastle.
You know what? I hope Chelsea win. I hope.
Yeah, Sheffield United beat Man United, that would 100% be more of a shock.
You know what? That was more of a dig at the people, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, you gotta hold that, Egal.
Oh, that is funny. That is funny.
Oh my god. Fan base play the Arsenal fans and Arsenal fan base place unnecessary pressure because we haven't won a league in a while. A point away at Stamford Bridge is never an upset, but I expect a win.
True.
Yeah.
Wow. Rice over Gallagher. He just gets too much disrespect.
Who does?
This is crazy.
Who does?
I think he's saying
No, I
he's saying
think the Rice gets missed.
I think he's saying Rice is better than Gallagher, but Gallagher gets too much disrespect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Egal, please don't change. You are a national treasure. You are, bruv. I'm telling you now, because the way YouTube's going to keep growing, Egal is going to be in a museum one day. There is going to be an exhibit in the National History Museum on Egalisms. You're going to be a legend,
Can I ask
bruv.
one question to Alex quickly after this?
Go for it. Ask away.
Alex, how many Chelsea players do you have in a combined 11 with Arsenal? Genuine question.
5.
Okay.
I'd have
Who are the
5.
5?
I think
Who are the 5? I'm scared to ask.
So I mean, Reece James starts at right back.
Never plays. Okay.
Oh shit. I would start Badiashile over Gabriel.
Has he even
Left
played a
half.
game?
Yes, he has. And when he was playing, it was under Potter when we were actually a good team. And then
he had about 4
Who's the
good
third?
games.
1
though.
second. Who's the third?
I go for a double pivot of Enzo and Caicedo, and then
That's
Nkunku
4.
left wing.
And Kunku hasn't kicked the ball for Chelsea.
But it doesn't mean he's not a bad player. Like, how can he, like, you acting like Nkunku's not a good player? Like,
But
No
did
lie,
he-
no
did
lie.
he-
Egal,
Oh my
Egal,
God.
I'm taking Kunku over Odegaard.
KJ, clip this up, put a graphic with it.
I'm
This
taking
is
no, but
crazy.
Egal, what's wrong with that?
And you
I'm
called
taking.
me deluded.
I don't listen. What have I just heard? A minute ago, Egal was saying that if Sheffield United beat Man United, that's less of a shock than Chelsea beating Arsenal. And now we're getting players who haven't kicked a ball all season in combined 11s. My
That's
brain
true.
is
no,
gonna
wait, are we
explode.
going off form or are we going off who's the better players? Like,
Well, both.
You tell
but
us, it's your team.
The,
Yeah,
be-
yeah.
the
No,
better
if you're
players are in form.
no, thing is, if you're going to know, because that doesn't work.
Players
like
that
that.
are available.
Someone could be injured. Nkunku's been injured the whole year, but if you offer someone, you start a season tomorrow, you have Martinelli or you have Nkunku, which one would you pick? You're acting like it's a deluded thing to say Nkunku's a more proven and a better player than
I'll pick the one I've
Martinelli.
seen.
I'll
I'll
take
pick the
I'll
one.
pick
Let me ask you a
Martinelli.
question. Before the season started, Onana didn't kick a ball. People were saying he's one of the best goalkeepers in the league. He
And
came
they got
in. We now
ridiculed.
see, hey, based on his performances, he's been quite poor. People are going to change their opinion. The fact that your guy hasn't actually kicked the ball, for you to put him up there is slightly overrating at this
Dude,
point.
but the thing is, what you're doing is what classic reactionary fans do. To think Onana's a horrible player now after 8 games is just really like disingenuous. He's going through a bad form, and if you're going to throw away all his good stuff to say it's horrible, it's not.
I'd
really
say-
Once again,
I
earlier in
agree.
the conversation, you didn't want to have any conversation of what happened before with
No,
Chelsea.
but we're talking
But
about
now
this.
you
Like,
want to
I'm
only
talking
talk about
about
what's
better
happening
players.
before with other players who haven't kicked the ball for Chelsea. Like, forget about everything else. You put Badiashile in this team. What has he done?
Dude, he's a top defender. He's a top defender.
This is
Um,
classic.
Sorry, guys. What is it about Badiashile that makes him better than Gabriel, in your opinion?
I think he's better on the ball. He's excellent with long range passing and short range passing. Aerially, he's super dominant. He's strong. He covers this. When he played with Thiago Silva, he was covering him perfectly. I just think he pulled that hamstring, and then people forgot because he hasn't played for 3 months how good he actually was. He's a good player.
I need to head off soon, but just quickly. So is Badiashile one of the best centre backs in the Premier League?
No, because I don't think Gabriel's one of the best centre backs in the Premier League. But wait, hold on. Best centre backs, is it top 5 or is it top 10? What are you
Yeah,
talking
let's
about?
say, yeah. Well, 100.
I don't think Gabriel's
100%
top
10,
5.
but you can
I don't think
you can talk
Gabriel's
top
top
5.
5.
So who's your top 5?
Boom. Saliba. I think Virgil's there. Then I need to think about it. Like literally
Bro,
sit down and think
Enzo's
about it.
probably one of your best midfielders in the league, probably based on what you're saying.
Gabriel gets criminally underrated, like criminally underrated. Also, Nkunku's played 28 games at left wing in his entire career, and the majority of them were 3 years ago or more. So I'm struggling to see how you've seen Nkunku at left wing in a different league and come to the conclusion he's better off the left wing than Martinelli.
Well, Nkunku's he's played in a, what's it called? The triangle when you play with 3 at the back. So he's been either playing off the left, or he's been playing as a false 9 where he drifts out, a striker goes there, and then he runs in. Let's not play semantics right now. If you're going with a left wing position, who would you have? Someone to go inside?
A winger, probably.
You'd rather have Martinelli.
The basis of what Al's doing
take a winger or a left wing.
It's just down to ability. And the problem with Al's argument is that none of these players, like your Badiashils or even Nkunku, even though I love Christopher Nkunku, they haven't shown it in the Premier League. We haven't seen them.
You know what I find hilarious though, because
I was waiting for you to mention
on a bad run of 8 games. These two sitting there are going to talk the most waffle. Oh, but we've got a proven track record. 8 games is too small of a sample size, and you need to look at ability. And now, because the argument suits them, they're going to sit there and spin it. I don't think it's outlandish to say a player that was Bundesliga top goal scorer is better than Martinelli. Like, I don't think that's why.
But then Al, Timo Werner was RB Leipzig's top goal scorer, and you saw what happened with him. Kai Havertz was one of the best talents in the Bundesliga. You saw what happened.
He wasn't scoring goals at left wing. That's like saying, would you start Lewandowski at right wing because he's a good goal scorer?
It's not 5 players. No. I just did the math. It's 6 players because he also wanted the goalkeeper in. Am I wrong?
No. No chance. Your keeper's
you don't rate Sanchez.
I don't rate
interesting one. We'll let the viewers have their say on some of this here. Robert here says, Egal, we go. Don't let the footy gods forsake Arsenal.
I think he just did that.
What has Nkunku done to be better than Martinelli? What Brian says here. We'll kind of answer that already, but thank you. Chelsea fans now gassing Gallagher when they all wanted him out a few weeks ago. It's hard to hear, is what Martin said. AMT says, to me, Fulham win over Spurs would be the biggest upset. We'll preview that on Monday's show ahead of that game, to be fair. Aya says, football is full of young fans who are overly reactionary and old fans who can't seem to let go of the past. It's very true. Speaking of young fans, I've got sent this video from Don and Ches, actually. I think we're filming with George on a Spurs show today, but I'm going to play the video and you'll hear it as I'll put it up to the mic.
Look who I'm with, man. Go on. Do you know what I'm saying? Hey, this is we're just listening to Egal just waffling, bro. Yeah, Rice world class 8 now. All of a sudden, Terry. These Arsenal fans, man. Yeah. I hope the boys are listening to these lot because they need a humbling, man.
They think you guys need a humbling. Big up Don and Ches. Hope you boys are well. I said I'd play it. Because they're part of the TFT family. Comment here that says, we'll come back to that one a little bit later. I was going to ask this question, and we've not gone off track because I like to let these things just flow on the top 6. But what are the fear factors in Chelsea? What do you have to stop Rory from Chelsea's point of view to ensure you get the 3 points at Stamford Bridge?
I just think we've got to make sure they don't catch us on the break. I think that's, for the last sort of 18 months, pretty much, the biggest danger we normally have is when we've got an attacking corner or something like that and we get done on the break. They've got players like Mudryk with raw pace that can do us on the break. So I think that's the biggest threat. It will be interesting to see how we approach the game. If we do play, that crazy high line, or if we stand off them a bit and do respect them a bit more. But yeah, I think they can defend very well. And it could be one of those games where if they can hold out until the 60th or 70th minute at 0-0 and we start going for it a bit too much, we can see one at the other end on the break. But that would be the danger.
Can you lot see a 0-0?
I could say it.
Boys, I need to head off. It's been a great conversation. See you lot later.
Thank you very much, bro. Appreciate it. Super chat here says, so Egal, what's your score prediction? I'm going 2-1 to Arsenal. I hope I'm proven right. It's a good time to go into the score predictions now based on the super chat. What are you going with, Egal, for this game?
I think it's actually going to be a close game, but we're going to win based off our defense and close margin. So it's going to be a 2-0, but it's going to be a close 2-0. Like we get a second goal late in the game to bury it. And then the rest of the game, we just see it out. But it's going to be a shutout 2-0, clean sheet. And we've had a good season away from home where we've kept clean sheets in all our games. So I'm hoping that continues.
Alex?
I'm hoping for a 2-1, but I feel like it might be a 2-1 to Arsenal. I think they'll be more clinical on the day. I
So
like
after all of that.
I don't know, because I think Saka's that good. I think Saka's that good. Like arguably the best player in the league. So, and I think he'll make the difference.
Saka, the best player in the league. Did I just hear you say that?
Arguably. Yeah, you can make an argument for
He's
Saka
not
being
even the
one of
best
the best.
right winger not even the best right winger in the league, let alone.
Hey, get Egal as your lawyer. He might be the best right winger in the league, but Saka makes it most like he's phenomenal, and big players turn up and be the difference on those occasions. I can see him be the difference. I wouldn't be surprised if Saka's the difference.
Interesting. Well, I don't think you're going to get any argument there from Gooners. Rory, your score predictions, bro?
1-0 to Arsenal. I do think it will be a bit scrappy. I think Chelsea will sit in and dig in, but we'll grab a winner.
Ram?
I want to do something different. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think a lot of both sides are going to be quite wasteful this game. I think it's a game after internationals, there's going to be a lot of wasteful. So 1-1, yeah, that'll be an interesting result. And it's written as well, Egal.
Dizzy.
Here's my problem with Arsenal fans. Arsenal are really good. They're great even. But as soon as they put together a run of games, or as soon as they get good, now we've got best players here, best players there, best players all over the pitch. I guarantee there's going to be the most boring 0-0 game you've ever seen. Watch.
I'll take
0-0.
1-0 or 0-0? Bro, I thought Omar Dizzy. Did you say 1-0 or 0-0? Because I'm confused.
No.
I was gonna say, you think they're gonna okay.
No. Nobody's gonna score.
I think it's big that Arsenal hopefully have a front three of Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka for the first time all season. That's a big advantage going into it.
Because Rory, everyone's talking about our.
Was Jesus not in Brazil though?
Jesus was in Brazil, yeah.
He didn't go.
No, he didn't go. No, I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he not play for Brazil?
Gabriel played for Brazil.
He didn't go out for Brazil. I think he didn't get selected this time. But Jesus and Gabriel Magalhaes did. But Rory, one thing that people have been criticizing our attack, not scoring enough goals this season. That's a big reason why. Our front three have only played 14 minutes together, and that was the back end of that Man United game. So let's see. Well, let's start seeing maybe with them back together, we're going to start seeing us firing more goals.
It's going to be very interesting indeed. A few more super chats here. This one says, "What's wrong with this Ram guy? Which Arsenal fan hurt him?"
I've actually given you a lot of praise, especially in that City game. So I have nothing wrong against Arsenal. I'm just giving my opinions.
AMT thinks that Chelsea fans need more humbling after talking so big, beating promoted side this season. Lol is what AMT says.
True.
Aya's back again, says, Terry, you need to make a rule. No one on the panel bases their takes on what they saw or heard on Twitter. People are coming out with outrageous arguments that no one in the panel came up with.
Ooh, facts.
Like what?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's relevant to talk about things you've seen other people say to gauge someone's opinion. But yeah, what you can't do is go, Egal, you're wrong because of something somebody else tweeted, unless that thing is a fact. There's a lot of that. I get a lot of that. Like, I'll turn around and I haven't knew the Tony situation when I sort of said I don't like the way the media treated him. People go, yeah, well, the BBC didn't say that. What's it got to do with me? Like, we're in agreement. It's very strange.
But that's 2023 for you, right? Like, you say something and then someone goes to the polar opposite of what you said, and it's your fault.
Bruv, listen, I know this is a controversial thing to say, but I believe it. I think if chemotherapy had never been invented and somebody invented it now in 2003, there'd be a percentage of people that would call you a scumbag for making people bald. There'd be a percentage of people that would hate on you for it. That's how weird the world has kind of become, you know. And it's a strange one, really.
I don't see that happening, Terry, man.
Nah, that's a fact. No, that's a fact.
I don't see it, man. I really don't. I don't.
Again, it's sarcastic, Ram. I don't actually mean they would do that, but Dizzy gets the joke. Like it's a joke.
Bro, just remember 5G. What the hell happened to 5G?
This is why I say there's an Arsenal agenda. We've just listened to Chelsea fans sit here and make a Gallagher argument, but Arsenal fans are overreacting. What Tony Bloom says. Highbury here says Don is clearly lacks comprehension. Who called Declan Rice world class? Well, no one called him world class.
To be fair,
He did actually. Did he not?
There was someone in a super chat that said he was world class.
He said he was a world class 6.
Yeah, world class 8.
We said world class 6, not world class 8.
Yeah, I think we said like he's a world class player and he can play at 8, but I don't think anyone on the panel said he was a world class.
I think we're just tossing up with the term.
He actually submitted the super chat that said Declan Rice is a world class 8.
I think
with a question mark, Egal. Let's not do that. Come on.
Hey, questions turn into statements nowadays on Twitter. Ask Terry.
But we just said we agreed we're not using Twitter logic because of the
my typical experience in life is if somebody hates your question, don't trust their answer. It's typically my view on people. Again, it's not always right, but it's just a typical thing. But this also shows what it's like, right? When I said what I said about the chemo thing, you hear truth, you get laughter, you get facts, you get like a joke saying Terry hates chemo confirmed, and then you also get things like twisted here, chemo kills. You get what the F Terry. It just shows how different. This is the whole point. Is you say the same thing and 5 people can hear it, 4 people can hear 4 completely different things. Which is why I think it's more important to understand someone's meaning as opposed to what they've actually said. But that's gone in 2023 as well. Anyway, as a Chelsea fan, this man needs to be stopped. This is actually back to the betting thing earlier from Paul. He says, I'm not saying fans shouldn't bet. I mean, if footballers can't bet, then doesn't stop. It means they should stop promoting it. Another example, footballers being used. I hear you, but at the same time, the football stadiums sell beer. What if you have a football player that's an alcoholic? Does the whole stadium stop selling beer or stop selling alcohol? Again, I'm not defending that more needs to be done to help people, but there does need to be agency. There does need to be personal responsibility, family responsibility in this. And we can't just ban everything because some people have an issue with it. Otherwise, you could theoretically ban everything. I mean, some people are clinically diagnosed. Yeah, some people are clinically diagnosed with being addicted to sex. So we ban sex. Like deep, you can't ban everything because people are addicted to it. It's just
educate them as academy students. That's all. That's the best way to fix it.
Yeah. If I hate a question, I'll answer with a question. Yeah, that's it. That's typically how people that hate the truth respond to things. It's sad to see. Listen, boys, great show. Absolutely great show tonight. Enjoyed that thoroughly. Tomorrow, people, some news and stuff in the morning. Dom Sam in the afternoon tomorrow on Straight Facts, previewing the weekend ahead. So make sure you're tuning in for that. It's around 4:30 tomorrow. I've got a meeting in the afternoon, so it's being pushed back a little bit. To the viewers and the super chatters, thank you very, very much indeed. I really appreciate all your time and your effort. It's very humbling that you're always here. Gents on the panel, great as always. Well done, Alex, for making your debut on the show. It's always hard first time, especially if you don't really know anybody, but you did very, very well, my friend. You did. Big up D as well that had to leave a little bit earlier. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.